Ladies and gentlemen, let's game into the video. Do you feel like having two R9 290s in your system? Well, AMD, it would appear, are just about ready to release a dual Hawaii GPU known as the AMD Radeon R9 295X2. So there's a website, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, but Boeing PC has some exclusive confidential information regarding it. And as I said, the official name is going to be Radeon R9 295X2. And supposedly, this card is going to be a dual GPU card. Now, just to clarify, for those of you who are not quite sure what that means, it means basically we're going to be having a dual GPUs, so two graphics processing units on exactly the same physical board, rather than having the traditional route of SLI, where you have two separate video cards. In this case, you're going to be having the two GPUs on the same board. So apparently it's going to be clocked at 1 gigahertz, but we're not sure exactly what this means. Are we going to be getting less shaders per core? One reason behind that would be to reduce the power draw, because these cards are quite hungry for juice, and to reduce the temperature and to pretty much reduce power draw and keep the costs down a little bit. One theory, of course, is that we're going to be getting less amounts of shaders. So, for example, it could be 2560, which is a popular number that seems to be bandied about currently. Apparently as well, and I don't know how true this is, of course, the card is going to be coming with a hybrid cooler. So if it does indeed come with a hybrid cooler, this would mean that it's going to be pretty much like the Corsair, what one is it now? The H80. So that would be like the hydros. You can kind of see how that would work. It's basically a closed loop type of situation, and they usually come with like the standard water cooling option. It's kind of similar to the Asus Aries 2. Maybe as well, that would be also kind of similar. The idea, of course, for that is to reduce the reduce the noise of the card, basically, and in theory to keep it cooler as well. Of course, just how well all of this works is completely unknown, but in theory, the card is going to be able to compete with the GTX 790. Now, the 790 is going to be very much the competitor in that, of course, it is also going to be a dual GPU card. So is it good to get the dual GPU card? Well, in terms of raw performance, yes, it's possibly the better option, but for a lot of people, a single card is still, like the GTX 780 Ti, for example, might well be able to outperform it. And once again, it depends on the amount of shaders that we have and how overclockable the actual cores are, because obviously if you get a bit of a dud in terms of overclocking, that can be a bit of a problem. Like one core can overclock better or worse than the other. As I said, guys, this is still up in the air at the moment. There is no confirmation right now regarding any of that. And of course, just how expensive it's going to be is also unknown. I mean, for example, we could be looking at like $1,000 for the 295X2, which is a lot of cash. It's also worth noting that we don't have any figures regarding memory. There's likely going to be 8 gigabytes, we would assume, considering the standard cards have 4 gigs, and there are other cards that are in the pipeline for single cards that are like 8 gigs. Now, it's worth remembering that if this is the case, that's only going to be 4 gigabytes per GPU. So that means only 4 gigabytes total, because obviously in the case of Crossfire or SLI, the memory isn't cumulative. So if you have two cards that are like 2 gigabytes, that's not 4 gigabytes total, because both cards have to have copies of exactly the same data. Anyway, hopefully you found that somewhat interesting, if somewhat puzzling. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.